All right, let's dive straight into this. If you're moving goods globally, you already know the corridor stretching from Mundra in India to Jebel Ali in the UAE is an absolute powerhouse of a trade route. But as we look at the realities of shipping between these two logistical giants in 2026, the margin for error? Well, it's practically vanished. In this explainer, we're going to break down why picking the wrong shipping method on this exact route can totally wipe out your profit margins and exactly how you need to structure your logistics to make sure that doesn't happen. Seriously, picture this for a second. You're staring at a demurrage bill that has somehow ballooned to $5,000 a day. Ouch, right? And that is not a theoretical number. It is a very real consequence of misalignment. The choice between bulk and containerized cargo isn't just about how your goods get stacked on a ship. It's a massive, make-or-break financial decision that demands a really precise, data-driven strategy. So here is our game plan today. First, high stakes on high seas. Second, the heavyweight, bulk cargo. Third, the Swiss Army knife, containers. Fourth, a head-to-head cost battle. And finally, navigating 2026 risks and regs. Let's get right to it. Section 1. High stakes on high seas, and why the Mundra to Jebel Ali route matters so much in 2026. What's wild about this specific corridor is the sheer proximity. We're talking just 1,200 nautical miles. It's an incredibly short sea link, meaning you get a lightning-fast transit time of just 5 to 7 days. That speed is exactly what makes this route so explosive, but it's also why inefficiencies become so glaringly obvious to your bottom line. You just don't have time to recover from mistakes. And when you look at the timeline, the growth trajectory we're dealing with is staggering. Back in 2024, Mundra handled over 150 million tons. Now, with massive infrastructure upgrades like deeper drafts and automated cranes kicking in, we are staring down a projected 20% surge by 2026. Fast forward to 2030, projections put this route at 200 million tons annually. So yeah, legacy shipping strategies just aren't going to cut it when you're operating in a market scaling this aggressively. But look, with that kind of growth comes serious complexity, and costs are definitely not static. To protect your margins, you've got to account for these three massive 2026 cost drivers. First, we're seeing a 10 to 15% fuel hike from IMO 2020 low sulfur mandates. Then you've got regional realities, like the Mundra monsoon season, which can easily slap an extra $500 to $1,000 onto a delayed shipment. And crucially, new ESG rules mean the UAE's green tariff could hit non-compliant vessels with a 5% surcharge. Ignore these at your own peril. Section 2. Let's introduce our first contender, the heavyweight, bulk cargo, the volume-driven workhorse. Just to make sure we're completely on the same page here, I want to quickly define break bulk. So standard dry bulk is your loose stuff, coal, grain, that kind of thing. Liquid bulk is petroleum. Break bulk sits right in the middle. We're talking unpackaged, oversized cargo, massive steel coils, heavy machinery. It's too big to stuff into a container, but you obviously can't pour it loose into the hull either. So it requires its own very specific handling economics. Let's walk through the chronological journey of a bulk shipment. Why choose this route? Well, for massive loads of 5,000 tons or more, bulk shipping can literally cut your packaging costs by 30 to 50%. It's a well-oiled machine. Survey the cargo to ISO 9001 standards, load it at Mundra using grab cranes over a day or two, monitor that quick 5 to 7 day transit, unload at DP World's terminals, and clear customs in mere hours using the UAE's e-Mersal system. It is all about volume and efficiency. Now here is an insider secret you absolutely need to know to win with bulk. Whenever you can, switch to geared vessels. These ships have their own onboard cranes, and using them can actually reduce your handling costs by up to 12%. And please, whatever you do, optimize your load density. Underloading means you are paying premium freight rates to ship invisible air. And worse, that specific mistake is going to cost you an extra $300 a day in demurrage fees. Section 3. The Swiss Army knife. Containers, where flexibility meets top-tier protection. Okay, whenever we talk about container volume, we're measuring it in TEUs or FEUs, 20-foot or 40-foot equivalent units. These standardized steel boxes are the absolute lifeblood for moving India's booming exports over to the UAE. Think high-value electronics, textiles, and, with temperature-controlled reefers, a ton of perishable agro exports. When you need to keep mixed or fragile goods safe from the weather and completely secure from theft, this is your go-to. The journey for a container is incredibly automated. You stuff it at a container freight station, transit for that same 5 to 7 days, and breeze through automated dates at Jebel Ali. But listen, the absolute most critical part here is step 1, verifying your gross mass. Because unlike bulk cargo, overweight container fines are brutal and super common. If you mess up your SOLAS regulations, you're easily looking at a $500 fine per container. Compliance here is just non-negotiable. So containers definitely have a higher base cost than bulk, but you can hack that base cost down if you're smart. First, consolidate your less than container load, or LCL shipments. Doing that can actually save you up to 30%. Second, you really should be booking in Q1 to hedge against those crazy peak season Q3 rates. And ideally, start integrating blockchain-style documentation tools because eliminating costly paperwork errors is a total game changer. Section 4. This is the ultimate showdown, the head-to-head cost battle for a 10,000-ton load. When you standardize everything to a 10,000-ton equivalent load, the dynamics become crystal clear. Look at base freight and handling fees. Bulk wins hands down. It's literally engineered for sheer volume cost efficiency. Transit times are a dead tie. But when you factor in protection, containers are completely unmatched. Your goods are locked in, perfectly sealed off from the elements and any contamination risk. Let's talk total costs for that 10,000-ton load. On average, you're looking at around $275,000 total for bulk, compared to roughly $400,000 if you boxed it all up. Bulk is generally 30 to 40% cheaper overall. Honestly, if you're shipping homogeneous stuff like coal, ore, or cement clinker, you're quite literally throwing money away by putting it in a container. Ultimately, picking your fighter comes down entirely to your cargo profile. Let's look at real-world impact. Bulk shipping gave a massive advantage to an Indian coal exporter, saving them a cool $100,000 just by avoiding container shortage premiums. But on the flip side, textile and perishable importers found their edge with containers. By using automated e-seals, they cut their spoilage claims by 40% and actually slashed customs delays right in half. Section 5. Navigating 2026 Risks and Regs. Here's how you future-proof your operations. You have got to actively mitigate risk on this corridor. It isn't optional anymore. Make sure you're upgrading to all-risk insurance covering 110% of your cargo value. Geopolitically, keep a close eye on open-source intelligence. If regional tensions force a Red Sea reroute down around the Cape, boom, you are instantly looking at a 20% spike in costs. And lean into ESG compliance. Booking low-emission eco-vessels can actually score you a 5% green rebate in the UAE. Plus, just pre-clearing your documents properly, that's a move that recently saved one operator from a massive $50,000 compliance fine. And if you really want to stay ahead of the pack, you need to be leveraging data modeling. Logistics pros who are integrating AI forecasting tools to predict shipping rates and simulate costs are hitting a mind-blowing 85% accuracy right now. They're totally stripping the guesswork out of the equation and transforming every single shipment into a highly optimized profit engine. So, as we wrap up this explainer, one thing is totally clear. Whether you need the raw volume efficiency of bulk or the ironclad protection of containers, your success entirely boils down to making smart, data-driven choices. You just can't leave the stuff to chance. I'd love to hear how this is playing out in your real-world operations. What is the single biggest logistical hurdle you're facing right now on the Mundra Jebel Ali corridor? Drop a comment below, let's get a discussion going, and as always, keep learning and keep optimizing.